Okay, so let's go over this warm-up. There were two things that we needed to do, two transformations that we're going to do to triangle ABC. First thing that we're going to do is translate. So that is a slide or a shift. Triangle ABC using this vector. What does that first number, -6, tell me to do? Subtract. And I would be moving which way? Left. That would be a left 6 units shift, so I would subtract 6 from the x parts of all of these ordered pairs. And what does the second number, the 2, tell me? We're going to add 2 because we'd be moving which way with that part? Up 2. So I would add 2 to the y component up here. So my A prime is going to be -4, 4. Excuse me. B prime would be -4, 7. And C prime would be -2, 4. So there's my new A prime, B prime, and C prime. Number 2 is asking me to do a rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. So we're going to do one switch. So I'm going to come up here. Each of these numbers is going to get switched around. I don't know what the signs are yet, but I can at least do the switching part. A prime, I would still have 2, 2, but I don't know who's positive and who's negative. B prime, it's going to be 5, 2, but I need to figure out who's positive and who's negative. And then C prime, 2, 4. We can't call that done yet, though, because we need to know what quadrant we are moving into. So I'm going to draw a real quick sketch so that I know where we're starting off at and what quadrant we'd be moving into. So 2, 2 would be like here. So that'd be my point A. 2, 5 is going to be somewhere up here, so that would be my point B. 4, 2 would be like here, so that would be my point C. So here's that original triangle they gave me, and we're supposed to go 90 degrees clockwise, which would put us into which quadrant? If I go 90 degrees clockwise, we're going to go into what quadrant? Quadrant 4, which is my positive, negative quadrant. So X will be positive, and all of the Y parts of these ordered pairs will be negative. So 2, -2, 5, -2, 2, -4. Now please go ahead and turn in your warm-up and your homework number 2 to the basket, and we will dig into your notes. Yes. Sorry, I still can't hear you. Nurse pass, yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna make it. You're gonna make it on this page.
So go ahead and grab your notes. We're going to do that very, very, very last rotating problem. I want you guys to go ahead and get started on that one. I want you guys to rotate triangle MNO counterclockwise 90 degrees.
Yes.
What quadrant are we moving into if I'm going counterclockwise 90 degrees? Which quadrant are we moving into? 1. Counterclockwise would send me back here. There's my 90-degree rotation. How many switches if we're going 90 degrees? 1 switch. So I need to know my ordered pairs for M, N, and O so that I can switch them. We're going into quadrant 1. What are the X's like in quadrant 1, positive or negative? The quadrant that we're moving into, quadrant 1. Positive X's. What about my Y's? Also positive. Where is point M right now? It's really close to the origin, but it's not on 0, 0. Where is M? M. I just didn't hear what you said. 1, 0 is where it's going to. But right now it is 0, -1. That's where it's at right now. So I do my 1 switch. Everybody ends up positive. So 1, 0 for M prime. Right here. Where is N right now? 6, -2. So N prime? 2, 6. Thank you. So 2, 6 would be right here. There's my N prime. Where is point O currently located? 7, -6. So O prime? 6, 7. Right here. There's my O prime. Grab my straight edge and connect those to get my rotated triangle. All right. What we're going to work on for the rest of the period is taking the 3 different types of transformations we've learned about, translations, reflections, and rotations, and we're going to bring those all together. So you know on some of those problems they've had us do 2 different things, like there's a part A, a part B, and then a part C. When we do 2 different transformations to our original graph, that's called a composition. We're going to be doing that here on the next page. But now instead of it just being translate, translate, or reflect, reflect, rotate, rotate, we're going to mix them together. So combining all of our methods together, doing some compositions. Number 1, first thing I see is this notation right here. What do they want me to do when you see a notation like that? It's an arrow, then with that angle bracket notation up above it. What are we going to be doing? Is this going to be a reflection, a rotation, or a translation? Translation. Which ways are we going to be translating? What does that 8 tell me to do? We're going to add 8 to all of our x's, or we're going which direction? We're going to go to the right. It's a positive, so we're going to the right 8. What about that positive 2 that comes second? Up 2. There's 2 different ways that I can translate these points. I can come to the graph where segment CD is already graphed for me, and I can count to the right 8 and up 2. And then I can do the same thing for point D, to the right 8 and up 2. Put my points down and then see what those ordered pairs are. Or I can write down the ordered pairs for C and D. C is at -5, 7. And D is at -3, 1. And I can do this arithmetically. To move it to the right 8, I can add 8 to the x. And then to move it up 2, I can add 2 to the y. So where would my C prime be located? Where we're doing, it's not 8, 9, because I'm doing -5 plus 8. 3, 9. There we go. -5 plus 8 would be 3. 7 plus 2 would be 9. So 3, 9 for C prime. So right up here. There's my C prime. Do the same thing for D prime. I'm going to add 8 to the x and add 2 to the y. 5, 3. Thank you. Right here is my D prime. Then I need to grab my straight edge and connect those 2 together. I'll write that down here. 3, 9. And 5, 3. All right, so we translated our line segment. What do they want me to do next? Rotate it. How far in which way? 90 degrees clockwise. That's going to be how many switches? 1 switch. I have my ordered pairs already. If I go 90 degrees clockwise, that's going to put me into which quadrant? Quadrant number 4, right down here. That is my positive negative quadrant. Positive x's, negative y's. So I'm going to need to switch these numbers around. So I would have 9 and 3, 3 and 5. Which numbers need to be negative? 3 for the y in C prime and 5 for the y in D prime. Sorry, D double prime and C double prime. All right, so let's graph those. 9, -3, that's going to put my C double prime right here. And 3, -5 puts my D double prime right here. And then I'm going to connect those together. Nice job. Number 2. First thing we're going to do is go 270 degrees clockwise. So 270 degrees clockwise, that means I'm going to go 3 switches. That would be the same as what? If I didn't want to do 3 switches, I just wanted to do 1. Counterclockwise 90 degrees. So 1 switch would be 90 degrees counterclockwise. So 90 degrees counterclockwise would be like this. Or I can go 270 degrees counterclockwise like this. Either way, I end up in my negative quadrant, quadrant 3. So let's write down our ordered pairs for F, H, and G. What's the ordered pair for F right now? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Negative 1, 4. Thank you. I just didn't hear what you said. So where would F prime be then? Negative 4, negative 1. One switch. Everybody's negative because we're landing in the negative quadrant. So negative 4, negative 1 right here. Here's my F prime. Where is point H right now? Negative 5, 1. So where will H prime be? Negative 1, negative 5. So negative 1, negative 5 right here. There's my H prime. And where is point G right now? Negative 4, 4. So G prime? Negative 4, negative 4. Nice catch. Negative 4, negative 4 right here. There's my G prime. And then I'm going to connect those together with my straight edge to make my rotated triangle. What do they want me to do after that? We're going to reflect. What are we reflecting over? The y-axis. Does anybody remember our rules for reflecting over the y-axis? It's been a minute since we did this. How do we reflect over the y-axis? We're going to change the sign on which one, the x or the y? On the x. Whatever axis we're going over stays the same. So x is going to change sign. Y will stay the same. So negative 4, negative 1 would become what? Change the sign on x, leave y alone. Positive 4, negative 1. So positive 4, negative 1 should be right here. There's my F double prime. What about my H double prime? Positive 1, negative 5. Right down here, there's H double prime. And G double prime. Positive 4, negative 4. Right here. I put my H in the wrong spot. Sorry, guys. He needs to go down 1. There we go. H double prime is down here. Grab my straight edge and connect those points to make my reflected triangle. It should look like if you folded your paper right along the y-axis, the pink triangle is going to land right on top of the green triangle. Let's go look at number 3. What's the first thing they want us to do on number 3? What does part A tell me? Graph segment ST. Well, what are the ordered pairs for segment ST? Negative 4, 8 and negative 9, 2. So negative 4, 8, right here's my point S. Negative 9, 2, right here's my point T. And then I'm going to connect those points together to make my line segment. What are we doing first after we graph that? We're going to reflect segment ST over the x-axis. X equals -1. What kind of a line are we reflecting over? What kind of a line is x equals -1? Vertical. There's no y in the equation, so it has to be parallel to y. So I'm going to grab my straight edge. I'm going to come over to -1 on the x-axis. And I'm going to draw a vertical line through those points. There's my x equals -1. All right, I got that line drawn on there. How do I get the reflection now? What do I need to do so that it looks like I could fold it on that dashed line to get my other line segment? We're going to count the distance away. We're going to count how many squares away each of those points is. So how many squares away is S from that vertical line? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So on the other side, 1, 2, 3. Right here is my point S prime. What about T? How far away is T from that dashed line? How many hops would it take me? How many squares? How many hops to get to that dashed line? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right here. There's my T prime. Grab my straight edge and connect those together. What's the ordered pair for S prime? 2, 8. And what's the ordered pair for T prime? 7, 2. Right, then what are we doing with it now? Rotating it. How far? 180 degrees. So that's 2 switches. When I do 2 switches, the order of X and Y stays the same. All we have to worry about is changing the signs. If I go 180 degrees, where will that green line segment rotate to? Which quadrant will S prime T prime rotate into if I go 180 degrees? Quadrant 3. We're going to come right down here. Order of X and Y stays the same. We have to look at our signs, though. This is, careful, we're in quadrant 3. Negative, negative, there we go. Negative X, negative Y. So where would S prime be? -2, -8. Let's go plot that point. -2, -8. Right here is my S double prime. What about T double prime? -7, -2. Right here is my T double prime. Grab my straight edge and connect my points together to make my line segment. We only have a couple of minutes until the bell, so we're going to stop here for today. We'll do number 4 and then the back side of this on Monday. And then we're going to talk about symmetry on Tuesday. That'll be a real short lesson. We're just going to spend one day talking about symmetry briefly. The homework that you guys picked up on your way in the door, the entire front side is combining all methods, compositions of transformations, just like we were doing here. There shouldn't be anything on the front side that you haven't already learned how to do, so please go ahead and get started on that. On the back side, The top two problems are also ones where you're combining all methods together. When you look at the backside where all those shapes are, that's what we're going to learn how to do on Tuesday. So if you want to get started on the homework, bring questions that you might have with you on Monday. We'll finish up combining all methods then. Tuesday we'll talk about symmetry. Wednesday and Thursday we'll begin reviewing for your test. And then test is next Friday. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Hopefully the weather is nice and you can get out and enjoy it before it gets too cold.